today's podcast, I want to share a little bit about just dealing with difficult people during seasons in our lives. It's from Luke chapter 6, and the Bible encourages us to just do good to those that despitefully use us. So I'm going to read from Luke chapter 6, and it's going to be starting at verse 27. And Jesus is speaking. He says, "But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which hate you, bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you." Now, it can be very difficult sometimes to deal with people who are treating or mistreating us, or we feel that they're mistreating us. And the Bible has a lot to say in Luke chapter 6 in verses 26 all the way down to verse 44. So I want to encourage you to read that and meditate on that as well. And I'm just going to take some excerpts from that. And it says in verse 29, "Unto him that smiteth thee on one cheek, offer the other also. Unto him that taketh away thy cloak, forbid not to take thy cloak also." Now I'm reading from the King James Version, and I am going to share a little bit from the Amplified Version. And it says, "Give to every man that ask of thee, and of him that taketh away thy goods, ask them not again. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise." And that's where we have the saying, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." And in the Amplified, it says, "As you would like and desire that men would do to you, do exactly to them." Now, it seems like it would be easier if someone is being mean to you or disrespectful to you, that you would want to do the same. But according to the Word of God, He wants us to do the opposite. And that's where our love walk comes in. That's where when we say, what would Jesus do? This is the things that Jesus would do. He would do the opposite. Now it says in verse 32, "For if ye love them that love you, what thank have ye? For sinners also love those that love them." I'm going to go down to verse 35. It says, "But love your enemies, and do good, and lend, hoping for nothing again. And your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest. For he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil." And the evil means your adversaries, not those that come against you, even for no reason, or you may be even in a situation in your own personal home where you have difficult relatives or someone that's living in your home that's very difficult. And the Word of God is telling us to love them, to pray for them, that do these things. And I know it can be a challenge because we're challenged. Sometimes people don't know what's in our hearts, but God is encouraging us here to turn our hearts. In verse 36, it says, "Be ye merciful as your Father is merciful. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven." So the word I want to encourage you today is to really to do your best. Do your best to love those who are difficult in this season and in this time. And if you've been on the job, it could be even you challenged with some things. Think about how you're behaving. Think about our own behavior. Are we behaving unbecoming? Are we acting out and doing things that are unloving and unlovely? And because if you continue to read all the way down to verse 43, it says, "For a good tree bringeth forth not forth corrupt fruit, neither does a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit." So as we look at these scriptures, as we go down and the Word of God tells us to be merciful, be forgiving, love, pray for those who despitefully use you. Just do the opposite of how we're being treated. It can be a challenge, but you can check yourself. You can check. You're your own tree. You're your own tree. So look at the fruit that's coming from your tree. It even says you cannot. It says, "For of thorns men do not gather figs." So if there's thorns, you're gonna get thorns. If you're a bramble bush, you're not going to get grapes. That's what it says in verse 44. So you can't get anything good out of something that's negative. Negative in, negative out. So what are we putting into ourselves? Are we reading the Word of God? Are we meditating on the Word of God? Are we looking to see how we should be behaving? You know, the Word of God will check us, and He will check me, He will check you. And sometimes we do find ourselves being a little testy with other individuals based on our own personal circumstances. But the Word of God wants us to behave the opposite. So check your tree, check your fruit that's coming from your tree, because you want to be able to be a witness as a man and woman of God. We want to be witnesses to those that might be hurting around us. Because they hurt us, that doesn't mean we want to hurt them back. Jesus says, do the opposite. Pray for them. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that despitefully use you. We never know. We never know how a person's heart and what's going on in their heart. And in order for us to get into that and to maybe minister the love of God to them, we have to demonstrate love. So just be encouraged today. If you're dealing with someone or having a difficult time, just remember to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Make sure you're checking your love walk. Make sure you're not judging and condemning others. Make sure you're walking in forgiveness and love. Because in verse 38 it says, "Given it shall be given unto you." And sometimes people use that just in financial, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. It says, "For with the same measure that ye meet withal, it'll be measured to you again." Because really he's talking about that personality. He's talking about the tree. He's talking about your fruit. So be encouraged today. Love those that are unloving and maybe acting difficult at this time. And God will reward you openly. This is Diane Woods, and you have a great one.